It's pretty hard to believe that this was once inside someone's home. I pulled this crusty white vanity out of the trash right before our local fall bulky item pickup, covered in dirt and mold, missing two drawers, and now it's been sitting in my garage for a few months while I figured out what to do with it. It's definitely a homemade job, pieced together from scraps of 2x4s and plywood with no two screws the same. This one is going to take some serious work, but I have a vision, and you won't believe how well this turns out. Let's start by taking a closer look at this thing. It's a homemade reproduction of an Art Deco waterfall style vanity or dressing table that would have originally been produced in the 1930s or 40s with some fancy wood veneer inlays and a giant round statement mirror. But under this gloopy white paint, I can see lots of evidence that it was actually pieced together in someone's personal workshop out of whatever materials they had laying around. I don't think it was ever meant to be a piece of fine furniture, or unpainted for that matter. It's definitely a hodgepodge of plywood, hardware store lumber, and mismatched fasteners, but that doesn't mean it wasn't once and can't be again some totally usable furniture. I'm going to show you what I figured out to keep this out of the burn pile. The biggest issues I'm facing here, obviously, are the two missing drawers and the very evident mold that is growing on top of the paint. I suspect this thing spent some time in a damp shed or garage before it got kicked to the curb. Luckily, I live with a super handy guy, Mr. Salvaged, also known as Doug, who is always happy to take on the random furniture challenges that I throw his way. And even though building new drawers from scratch is way outside of my skill set, he managed to pull them together in an afternoon. If you don't have a Doug, though, you could try asking around at your local senior center to find a retired woodworker who could help, or maybe the local shop teacher, see if they could make a lesson out of it. Put up a Facebook post in your community asking for help, or, of course, just skip any furniture projects that you know you can't tackle. But there are options if you think outside the box. Anywho, now that I had my new drawers, I was ready to get started on the stuff that I did know how to do. Deconstruct this into two separate units and make myself a new pair of tall, narrow nightstands. Some personal protective health and safety measures that I wanted to take before I dove into this one. Because of the mold, I made sure to put my mask on right away so I wasn't breathing in any spores. And because this was already painted, I wanted to take a quick second to check and make sure that this wasn't lead paint. I didn't think it was because it felt like a newer kind of plasticky latex paint and not the older hard oil-based products. But you can never be too careful. These lead testing swabs are pretty inexpensive and really easy to use. You just dip the swab in some vinegar to activate the chemical and then rub it over the surface you're testing. It is a good idea to find a spot with multiple layers exposed so that you can be sure to cover all your bases. But if the liquid or the swab changes color at all to a pink, purple, or red, then that means there's lead present. If it stays orange, like mine did, you're good to go. Before I treated the surfaces with my mold killer, I figured I should break things down into all the separate components that I needed so that I could properly get into all of the corners and crevices and not worry about treating the pieces that I wasn't going to be keeping. On the back here, there was a mix of different flathead screws, a Robertson head screw, and a few different size nails. So once I had all the screws out, I just used the claw of my hammer and some muscles to pry these backer boards off, and then played a fun game of follow the fasteners to figure out how things were held together and what needed to come apart next. This center section was held in there with one screw on each side and a bunch of nails, but they'd all been put through from the inside on each drawer tower before the rest of the interior structure was installed. And most of them were hidden behind a brace piece and then the drawer track. So after I pried the 2 units off the nails, I hammered and pulled out what I could, but I did end up with this one screw that I just couldn't get at. So I opted to just chop it off, flush with the surface with my Dremel multi-tool. I'm definitely going to hang on to these awesome knobs. I love them. I just don't think they really go with the size or style of these tables. So I'm going to add them to my collection of vintage pieces, and hopefully I'll find another project that suits them a little better in the future. It looks like they weren't the original choice for these drawers anyway from the other holes on the inside. Okay, now I was ready to treat all of this mold and mildew, and I just followed the directions on this Moldex spray to clean, deodorize, and disinfect. I sprayed a ton of it over each and every surface, inside, outside, tops, and bottoms, let it sit on there for the recommended amount of time, and then cleaned it all off once it had done its business with some hot water. Well, things started drying back out. I went over each unit and used my nail set and hammer to knock all of the little finishing nails that were popping up through the wood back down under the surface so they won't show in my new finish. And I'll fill in those holes and smooth everything out in a bit. I also had to come up with some way to fill in this gap on the inside corners of the backs where the old mirror frame was sitting. So continuing along with the theme of just using whatever scrap lumber we can find, I grabbed a few pieces of pine lattice strip out of my scrap pile, glued and nailed a few together to fill that in, and then cut the excess flush with a handsaw. Some filler and sanding is going to blend all that in. This classic wood filler by Varathane is just like Bondo wood filler. It's a 2-part epoxy product where you mix the base putty in the can with the separate tube of cream hardener. And once the two are combined, it starts a chemical reaction that solidifies it into a super strong fill. And I got this cool mixing board for Christmas. This was my first time using it, and I love this thing. It's like a little paint palette, and it has a stack of kind of parchment paper sheets on it where you can mix up your Bondo instead of finding a scrap piece of wood or cardboard. And the filler doesn't stick to the paper at all. So you get to use the entire amount that you mix up and waste way less product. Then when you're done, you just have a sheet of paper to throw away. Anyway, I mixed up a bunch of small batches of this at a time because it does set up fast once it's mixed, and worked my way around each unit, just filling in whatever flaws I can find. Now, these are never going to be perfect. They weren't perfect from the start, and they've already lived a life or two. So I tried to keep reminding myself of that as I went. This is homemade, previously loved furniture with character. Once the filler was cured and nice and hard, I was ready to start sanding it, along with this clunky, chunky paint job, and get it all smoothed out. And no, I am not stripping this old paint. It was really well adhered to the bare wood underneath it, and it smoothed out great with just sanding. So I didn't see any reason to put in the extra time, effort, or supplies to fully remove it. It's kind of acting like a primer layer. I used some 120 grit sandpaper to grind all of the excess filler flush and kind of polish down all of the bad brush strokes in the paint until each surface felt smooth to the touch. Next up was primer. I know I said the old paint was acting like a primer layer, but I did still want to put some of my favorite bin shellac based primer over top of it to seal in the porous wood filler and any areas where I'd sanded back through to the bare wood so that my paint laid nice and evenly over those differing textures. And it's also going to seal in any residual odors that might be thinking of popping back out one day. It's kind of old furniture odor insurance. It's also going to seal in the tannins from the pine knots on the inside of the drawers that are popping through. I roll this stuff on because I just don't like cleaning it out of my sprayer. When my primer was dry, it only takes about 30 minutes. I sanded over it quickly with some 400 grit sandpaper to knock off any of the little roller fluffies that had gotten stuck in it, and then decided that I should fill in the seams on the top with a bead of Paintable caulking, which is ultimately just going to give things a more polished look in the end. I squeezed a bit down each seam and then used a damp shop towel and my finger to push it in and clean away all the excess. Since the lines on these lean a little more feminine, I decided to go with this beautiful muted purple called Lavender Haze by Fusion Mineral Paint. It's one of their newest color launches, and even though it's purple, I think it's still a pretty neutral shade that could work in a lot of different styles, and it's going to be so pretty on these. I prefer to spray my painted finishes with my pneumatic sprayer, so I strained about 2/3 of this pint into the hopper of my gun and added about 2 tablespoons of water as well to thin it out just a bit. I find it really helps Fusion have an extra few seconds before it starts to dry, so it lays a little flatter and smoother when I spray it. I popped on my respirator, hooked up the gun to my air compressor, and got the flow settings all dialed in on my trusty piece of cardboard before I started painting the doors, drawers, and towers. Fusion is an acrylic resin paint that's specifically designed to be tough on furniture surfaces like this. It's got a nice matte finish that's water resistant and UV resistant. It can even be used for exterior projects, and it's actually meant to be brushed or rolled on. So if spraying isn't your thing, you can do that too. I usually let this paint dry for about 2 hours before recoating. So once I thought it was ready, I came back to assess things. I got great coverage with the first coat, but there were still a few spots that I needed to fill in with my second. And I found a few more bits dried into that first coat. So I gave these another quick smooth out and dust off, and then sprayed on coat number 2 the same way as the first. I should mention too that I chose this sort of medium level color because it should help hide all of the imperfections better than a darker or more saturated color would. Darker and even shinier finishes tend to just catch the light in a way that really highlights flaws on a surface. So on something like this that's not perfectly smooth, a lighter color and a matter sheen really help. I did want to add a little more protection on the top of this paint, specifically because they're bedside tables that will probably have drinks placed on them, books, cell phones, charger cables dragged across the tops. But I do want to keep the sheen pretty low, so I opted to use a few coats of this matte water-based polyurethane. Again, I strained it into my hopper to avoid any little dried bits or clumps in the can from clogging up the sprayer. Adjusted the settings on my gun again, since it's a different consistency than the paint was, and sprayed on 2 layers of this with another 2-hour dry time window in between. While the last coat of poly was drying, I popped the paint-covered hinges into some paint stripper to loosen things up, and then scrubbed them clean with a wire brush, and also added a little bit of gold spray paint to these magnetic door catches so they'd match the brass. I've been making sure to keep some of these plain brass knobs in my hardware collection because they just work with so many different styles and have been really popular with furniture flippers for the last few years. I think they're going to work great on here. To find the centers, I popped a piece of painter's tape down and used a straight edge to go from corner to corner, and where those 2 lines intersect is the perfect center of the drawer. I love it when new hardware installs are easy. In between coats of paint while I was waiting for things to dry, I also put some leftover primer from a different project on both sides of these backer boards to seal them and clean them up a little bit, and then chopped the chewed up bits off the bottom with my jigsaw before I stapled them back in place and reinstalled the doors. Okay, let's go back to the beginning and take another quick look at the disaster that we started with. I mean, I really can't blame the previous owners for putting this thing out at the curb for the garbage truck. It was gross. It was missing drawers and really was past the point of no return for most people. It did take me a while to get around to it, but I am pretty happy with how these nightstands have turned out. Again, far from perfect factory fresh furniture, but back to a usable state that I think is really stinking cute. Thank you so much for following along with me as I worked my way through this kind of tough project. I hope you found some helpful little tidbits in there and are feeling inspired. I also hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you all next time.